But first, I've been shocked by what I've seen today being taught in schools. I'll show you in a second. Foul, racist, us versus them poison. That, well, I tell you, it is now even more important that Labor's voice to Parliament be smashed when we finally do get to vote on it. And that looks like now being October 14, less than 2 months away. The Prime Minister today said he'll announce the actual date next week in South Australia, which the Yes campaign thinks will be the key state. If they win there, they reckon, with Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania also voting yes, they hope, they'll win the 4 states that they need to get a referendum passed, although they still also need a majority of votes nationally. And the Yes campaign's Thomas Mayo today said, well, no worries with their huge campaign backed by millions and millions of dollars from big business. They're going to win every state.
We want to win South Australia and we want to win 6 out of 6 states, and we're confident that we can do it. Our volunteers are all across the country. We've got supporter groups in every state and every territory doing the work, speaking with Australians to help them understand that this is simply about recognition and listening to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
They can't help themselves, can they? I mean, more misinformation right there. It's not just that. I mean, everyone already recognises Aboriginal people are here before whites. There's no need for a referendum to say what's common knowledge. And governments already do listen to Aboriginal groups. It's making it seem like they don't. It's false. More than 30 big Aboriginal land councils negotiate with the government, 3,000 Aboriginal corporations, the Council of Peaks representing some 70 big community-controlled Aboriginal groups. That's got a partnership with government, the Aboriginal-led National Indigenous Australians agencies. It's got 1,300 government-paid staff whose job is exactly that, to liaise with Aborigines. So we absolutely don't need yet another group, now this voice, of 22 unelected activists. So no, this referendum is not about that at all. Don't be fooled. It is actually about dividing Australians by race for once and for all in the Constitution, so that one group of Australians has extra political rights on the basis of their claimed race. And that has to be stopped, especially now when we see how this racial poison is already spreading in our schools. And I'll give you 2 examples. One is what 2GB reported today. Children at a preschool in Sydney South having to write sorry cards to Aborigines as if they're somehow guilty, these little tots, because of their race. Oh, sorry for hurting the Darawal people. We will be kind now. And this, sorry for hurting you. Sorry for hurting your land. I mean, it's incredible. A teacher actually teaching preschoolers, children as young as 3 or 4, that they've got to apologise for being mean to Aborigines, to apologise for something they very clearly didn't do and don't even understand. They're just guilty because of their race. And how racist is that? How is this even allowed to happen? Now, second example, again just today. This time it's a secondary state school in Redlands, Brisbane. Children there shown this slide about how to refer to people here who are not Aboriginal, not Indigenous. Now, as you see on the right, you couldn't call them Australians, you couldn't call them whites. And don't call them settlers, I guess that's far too peaceful a term. Instead, the children, look at the left, should call non-Aboriginal Australians non-Indigenous, or get this, colonisers, even occupiers, like it really isn't their land. Or call them people of European descent, apart from the Asians and others, of course. Now, a word of defence for this school. The principal was horrified when he found out. He scrapped that slide and blames the national curriculum. And there's also some confusion. Maybe this was a lesson about how Australians in the 19th century were referred to. But even then you think, why do we have to refer to them, why you teach your children to refer to them as occupiers, not settlers, occupiers? Now be clear, even many people who plan to vote yes to the voice will say, oh, no, that's not what it's about. That goes too far. I don't know. No, that's not what we're voting for. But sorry, you've got to wake up. That is exactly what you're going to get even more of. Because once you divide Australians by race in our Constitution, and you say one group is so different and so oppressed that it must have its own advisory parliament, our real parliament can't represent them, and the other is so guilty and oppressive that it should just come second in this, that's the whole game right there. We don't unite, we divide. Got to. particularly with the voice department always saying, you owe us a treaty, you owe us our sovereignty, you owe us reparations. Now, you don't think that lesson will be hammered and hammered and hammered in our schools? You children are guilty. You colonisers. So please, vote no. For the sake of the children, if not for yourself.